Welcome to this module, a part of the Cisco Collaboration Software as a Service authorization for Cisco partners. In this section, you will learn Cisco's Webex compliance strategy, the certifications Webex has received, the Webex content ownership model, selected Webex Teams policy settings, and using Webex and Cisco Cloudlock together. Let's get started. Compliance is an action or fact that complies with a wish or command, either prescribed externally, internally, or both. Enterprises take action to conform to regulations, rules, laws, practices, and standards, and other requirements. Compliance is conformance. It is a challenge to keep a healthy balance between the company's compliance standards and legal requirements while meeting the user's needs and requests. Different entities within a company may choose to deploy their own non-compliant software to meet user requests. These can be non-compliant solutions both for legal or policy reasons. Be aware of these shadow IT initiatives that could run counter to the company's compliance standards. This is an important distinction. Being compliant with security standards does not, in and of itself, make an enterprise secure, but increasing security helps the enterprise to be more compliant. Compliance does not guarantee security, but it is a key factor to consider in the overall security strategy. The use of technology in an enterprise is an intersection of the technology itself, the processes in place, and the people with access. Cisco delivers its security standards at the solution level. It is not just a piecemeal compliance effort embedded in certain products here and there. For an offer that Cisco hosts in its cloud, our offer and how we deliver it to end users is compliant with regulatory requirements. However, when our services are being utilized by end users, Cisco can't guarantee the users will be complying with the customer's internal IT requirements or existing regulations. Enforcement is up to the customer IT compliance teams. As it relates to Webex in particular, Cisco can't guarantee that the content generated in the Cisco solution will be used by the end user in a compliant manner. This is the Cisco strategy for our Webex solution. This is what we are solving for. To help companies comply with legal requests, we have developed this tool, the e-discovery search and extraction tool. Administrators can search for messages and files that users have posted in Webex meetings and Teams. Enforce company policies using our Control Hub administration software. We provide flexible policies for the administration of the system. And we integrate with many of the existing third-party archival solutions, along with some third-party data loss prevention tools known as DLPs. Customers can integrate with many of the other solutions they have in place. Cisco has in place a world-class process for secure software development, which we refer to as Cisco Secure Development Lifecycle, or CSDL. It is folded into our product development methodology and is part of our ISO 9000 compliance requirements. CSDL is a process designed to increase the resiliency and trustworthiness of Cisco products. Some of the key elements of CSDL are these leading technologies and practices across multiple operating systems across Cisco. For more information about CSDL, please see the link at the end of this section. Please take a moment to review these certifications for Cisco Webex. For partners and customers in the U.S., we comply with the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, known as HIPAA. Cisco Webex meetings, Teams, APIs, and management are ready for use in a healthcare environment consistent with customer requirements to be HIPAA compliant. Cisco Webex is HIPAA compliant, and we have completed our assessment. With an NDA in place, Customers can access a resource for this assessment. The General Data Protection Regulation is referred to as GDPR. GDPR is not a certification, it is a regulation, that is, a compliance mandate for European countries. GDPR increases data subjects' rights and increases the rights of offices to enforce these regulations with substantial fines. Before we continue, let's take a moment to review these important terms as we use them here at Cisco. Webex Teams is broadly organized in the following way. Organization, usually a company, is at the top level, then spaces and teams. There is an exception for one-to-one communication. In this case, there are no content owners, just two participants. Teams space is a group of spaces that are managed by moderators. In a Teams space, the Teams creator's organization has ownership of content created by participants in those teams. Users have read access to Teams properties. A Teams space is organized by the moderator. A user has the choice to subscribe or unsubscribe from these spaces as long as they are part of a team. In a group space, privileges can be set for the content ownership. Policy and content control is vested in the organization of the person who created the space. But in some scenarios, ownership can be transferred to an external organization. The difference between group spaces and team spaces is that if a participant shares a document in a group space, the contributor has to be manually added to the space by the other users or space moderator, if there is one assigned. There is more control over the content introduced into a group space if there is a moderator assigned to it. Individual companies can set their own policies based on their own individual requirements. Ownership privileges are not all fixed by Cisco, and many can be set by company administrators. Next, let's see how compliance is impacted by consumer users. A consumer user is someone who signs up for a free version of Webex Teams and participates in a company's space. There are two types of consumer users, but both types are operating outside of the organization's policies. The first type of consumer users are those that sign up with a public domain, such as Gmail or Yahoo. Because the domain does not match the organization's domain list, they can never be converted into the organization's domain and thus will not be covered by the organization's policies. The second type of consumer users are those that sign up with an email domain that is part of the organization, but they may have done so prior to their organization's Webex deployment or through the Webex free trial page. In Control Hub, these users can be converted to internal users so that any compliance policies for internal users will be applied to these consumer users as well. A Webex Teams administrator can set policies for the usage of Webex Teams software. This is done at the network layer configuration, along with some hardware. This allows enterprise customers to block users from accessing Cisco Webex Teams service with non-corporate or personal accounts. The network will detect the email address and block access to Teams. This policy meets the need for enterprise customers that require control in a lockdown environment and reduces risk of data exfiltration from a corporate network. Control Hub is used by an administrator to set various policy settings for any spaces owned by the organization or its users. For example, this setting will make it so that users can only launch the Cisco Webex Teams app on mobile devices protected with lock screens. Administrators can also restrict the posting or downloading of files from various devices, browsers, apps, or bots. File sharing control helps to address data loss and malware concerns. User experience policies include Files and whiteboard icons grade on the clients and devices, and user warnings if file share is attempted. Here you can see the retention policies. The default retention period is indefinite, subject to storage limits. The retention period is configurable from 1 to 120 months. The storage limit is calculated as 5 gigabytes per user times the number of licenses the customer has purchased. Total storage space is shared across all users. There is no maximum storage limit per single user. Administrators can set Webex Teams policies for communications with external participants. Use this setting so that users within the organization cannot add participants from outside the organization in spaces owned by the organization. Users within the organization will not be able to join external spaces either. Meetings are still enabled for any participant, internal or external. However, users cannot send messages or upload files. All data created by users, such as messages and uploaded files, are stored in the U.S. Data centers exist outside of U.S., but only for the purpose of processing real-time data, such as real-time audio, shown here with triangles. During the meeting only, the media may reside outside the U.S., but persistent storage of messages and files is stored in the U.S. For more information, please see the link at the end of this section. Cisco's compliance strategy also includes these archival methods. An organization can offload data from the cloud to their own servers using one of these 3 methods. Do it yourself using a favorite events API with archival software. An out-of-the-box solution that is an integration with archival partners, for example, Actiance, or an end-to-end custom solution developed by Cisco Advanced Services. The benefits of this strategy include sophisticated e-discovery, legal hold, and retention policies based on groups. Cloudlock is a data loss prevention service known as a DLP. Cloudlock is a different cloud offer from Cisco. It is not part of Webex directly, but works in tandem with Webex. A compliance officer can be looking at messages in the background and intercept messages based on policy rules. The compliance officer can send a notification to a user or even delete the message. This process can be automated with Cloudlock, a Cisco service that runs in the cloud. For more information about how APIs can be integrated with services such as Cloudlock, please see the section in this module, Webex for Developers. Next, let's check your knowledge on something we have covered in this module. To ensure compliance, can Webex Teams restrict external messaging? Yes, the system administrator can set the policy within Control Hub. No, Webex Teams does not allow restrictions on external messaging. Not yet. This is a planned future release. The correct answer is A. Yes, the system administrator can set the policy within Control Hub. In this section, we covered Cisco's Webex compliance strategy, the certifications Webex has received, the Webex content ownership model, selected Webex Teams policy settings, and using Webex and Cisco Cloudlock together. Thanks for watching.